I just got back from ShopRite and I cannot wait to get back outside to enjoy this nice weather. But first, let's talk about how we can make quick meals that are still nutrient dense. Avocados are my secret ingredient for doing this. What's also important is remembering to keep your protein high in this meal prep recipes, but make it quick. So we can utilize things like cold rotisserie chicken already done for you that you could find in the food service department. We can utilize a plant protein, and we have canned beans, which you don't even have to cook. You just put them in and they have the added bonus of fiber, also important, especially if you're on a GLP-1 journey. We also have canned proteins like chicken and tuna, as well as proteins you might not think of because maybe you associate them with breakfast, but utilizing Greek yogurt, it's a high protein way to incorporate that into sauces or even into dressings for cold salads. Which brings me to getting into our recipes. Avocados are the perfect ingredient for a richer taste. Today, I'm using avocados from Colombia, which are available 12 months out of the year. The altitude diversity in the Andean mountain ranges of Colombia creates an ideal climate, allowing for a year-round supply of avocados and a higher quality fruit. Colombia is also one of the most biodiverse countries in the world, and the growers there follow strict rules on land use. To promote ecodiversity, avocados are perfect for creating delicious and rich recipes like this BLT chicken salad. So one of the things that I love is using avocados as a replacement for mayonnaise. So then you get these delicious, healthy fats, but you still get that creaminess. So it's such a win-win. So I'm going to put the cut avocado. So when you want the diced cut avocado in there, you're going to do what I did and run your knife over it in whatever pattern you need to. And then you just take a spoon and you scoop out those pieces. So it's really a very easy way to cut them. Definitely get some nice sizes. Then I'm gonna cut up our turkey bacon. You can use regular bacon if you want. It's more about what types of fats you have in your current diet. And if you are getting fuller faster on a GLP-1, you may wanna go with a leaner source. Next, we have our tomatoes. So you see a lot of really nice produce. And then to make life easier for our scallions and for our chives, we are just going to chop that in there. I love having a pair of scissors. These are specifically for the kitchen, but you can just get a pair that you utilize for food. Sometimes it's so much easier to just do this rather than use your knife. And then our last ingredients are for our dressing. So we are just gonna add in that Greek yogurt. And that, along with our avocados, is going to really create such a delicious creaminess where the healthy fats are coming from the avocados and you're getting that protein from the Greek yogurt. Lots of delicious flavor in there. And what I like about these recipes, if we're talking about saving time, is you can make these in advance when you have a little bit of time. They're only gonna taste better as you let it sit in the refrigerator. So the way that I would plate it up for that BLT look is you could spoon it on top of our romaine lettuce. And I like to cut the lettuce in half, the same way you would if you've ever grilled romaine lettuce. You cut it down the center so that the leaves aren't flaking off. And then serving it this way, if you are watching your carbohydrate intake, this gives you a nice bed of vegetable and you still feel that richness, that indulgence. So that is our BLT chicken salad. Now let's talk about another canned protein and do our Tuscan tuna salad. Okay, I'm gonna get this out of the way, bring my tuna over. Okay, so this one has a little bit of a different dressing. We're actually going to use the avocado more as a vehicle for serving. So the way that we used the lettuce in the last recipe as our bed for serving, we're gonna do that this time with the avocados. I'm gonna put that aside for a second and do our tuna salad. So we've got a tablespoon of red wine vinegar, a tablespoon of lemon juice, and a tablespoon of olive oil. Then we are going to take our fresh herbs. We have a cup of basil and then about a tablespoon of chives. And when it comes to fresh herbs, especially if you're growing your own, you could do it however you want. You can add as much or as little flavor. I get very excited because herbs are the only thing I can grow. And so I like to use them whenever I have them. So I tend to go a little bit heavy-handed on that flavor. In we go. Okay. Then we have our beans, which again are adding fiber, important for GLP-1 users, and some plant protein. A cup of those. And then I have half a cup of diced canned tomatoes. That's something where if you end up having a fresh tomato that you want to use, if it's something that you grow, by all means you can use a fresh tomato. Again, we're just looking for easier shortcuts, so if you don't want to cut a tomato, you're just opening a can. And then we have half of a red onion. So again, a lot of different flavors going into this tuna salad so that the protein is definitely our base, but we've got so much delicious flavor going on in here. It smells so good. All right, and it looks so pretty too. All right, so let's go back to our avocado as we serve this up. Avocados, besides being a great source of healthy fat, they also include a lot of fiber. 1/3 of it is a good source of fiber, as well as a good source of vitamin E and vitamin K. So let me show you how we're gonna plate this. So this time when we're cutting the avocado, we're looking to keep 1/2 intact versus how I did it the other time where we were cutting it into a dice. So you're gonna put your knife in, swirl it around, do the best you can to try to go halfway. A lot of times I don't, and I end up with 2 very indistinct halves. Okay, and then we're gonna put that down. And it's okay if you have a little bit of browning for this purpose, it's okay because we're using it as a vehicle. So you're gonna get that creamy fruit, but it's not so important that it's picture perfect because we are going to spoon our tuna salad right into it. And then we're going to add a base of more spring mix around it, more lettuce. And that's just because we're talking about nutrient density. So anytime we can get in some more veggies, it's always good to add them in, and you feel like you're getting more food, even though it's not going to fill you up. And that's what we mean when we're talking about nutrient density. It's about filling yourself up without kind of feeling full, but you've got all those good nutrients in there. All right, so let me open up my spring mix. All right, open up my spring mix. And then we're just going to add some around. So it's kind of like a garnish, but it's always good to get more veggies in. Alrighty. And that is our Tuscan tuna salad served on our delicious, rich avocado from Colombia.